a sip at a
Let's not give LJ the idea that we're all alcoholics here. Okay.
No,
I'm
understood.
trying.
A friend of mine runs a series on Wednesday nights called Wild and Precious Life.
time.
And that one is also oriented to the spirits as well. People usually show up with their
Yes.
drinks in hand.
Yep.
I'm having hot chocolate. Just
There you go.
yeah.
Little caffeine buzz, a little sweet.
All right,
Right.
that's it. I'm gonna have to go get something.
Okay.
Yeah, don't.
I
We'll
shall
wait for you. Go ahead.
Okay, will we?
Here's to your hot chocolate. I've got tea if that's okay.
Tea.
All
Hey,
right.
people who drink tea live longer. I saw that headline, so it must be true.
Well, so far it's worked, I guess.
Yeah.
They're still here.
Yeah.
I've just got a nice Cabernet, so there you go.
Ah,
You're making me all jealous because I'm totally off alcohol for medical reasons.
Oh,
And I'm just absolutely, Greg, you're breaking my heart.
we-
Yeah, but I'm into all kinds of herb teas,
there you go.
No.
I love herb tea.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'm stirring
It's no
rice. I'll be right
substitute
back.
for a Black Russian.
understood. My
Well,
friends Ben and Julie just showed up. I did not know they were going to be together. Erin, hi. Oh my gosh. So exciting.
Yes. Well, if I'm in Cincinnati, there's no way Ben and I are not showing up, and Aaron too. So
I didn't know you were still there. So
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just
we'll
meeting
be.
everybody in this room, but everybody in this room that I've just met, this is the poet as well, Julie Bloemeke, and
Hey,
then
Julie.
Ben Kline, whose new book arrived in the mail today.
Oh,
We're
oh
all
wow,
opening it
Poppy
up.
in the Wild.
What are you drinking, Ben? We were just
Oh,
talking about spirits. I knew
we
you'd
made
have
blood
something.
rushes for dinner.
What is that?
Blood Russians.
This is the Gold Rush with
Oh,
champagne.
Gold Rush.
The Blood Rush.
Well, you fit right in. Greg made himself a really twisted old fashioned. It has Godiva chocolate liqueur in it.
Ooh.
There's a lot going on.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
If Greg slides out of his chair slowly, we'll know why.
If Greg slides out of the chair, that's the end of the Zoom. So let's just.
Okay.
Perfect.
This new Zoom extension, actually, I can pass this drink on. I think in my array, it's yours now. No, it's yours now. Mike, grab it. No, oh shoot. I'll have to tweak that. I'll get back to you on
Everybody
got my
has a
hands full.
different Brady Bunch gallery, so
that. That's right.
yeah, you
I
can't
like the
reliably do
anarchy.
that.
There's only so many things you can do as an admin that, yeah, I like the anarchy.
Is this the typical set of folks that come to your readings?
Yeah,
Tim,
there's
Beth?
there's a lot of familiar names here, but there should be more. We'll start around 10. The latest we start about 7:15 to let people come in.
Yeah.
But there's
we
a
have
few
a bunch of
familiar
people.
faces.
We had a bunch of people sign up in the last 24 hours, bringing the total signups to 28. I would imagine that if they signed up in the last 24 hours, they're going to show.
Okay.
That's good.
You never know from
never know.
social media what will happen.
Well,
I already have 3 friends here and they're sharing, so it's not fair because they're in one square.
that's cool.
We can share a square, you know?
Yeah, share a square.
But we also are sharing chocolate truffles and bourbon.
Yeah,
so-
Oh,
exactly.
hey, wait a minute. No,
Hey,
You're
truffle.
making Greg's drink. You're just
you
you
just
didn't
break
mix it.
down into component parts.
I might have to.
So Mike, this is the first time I'm actually seeing you face to face. Thank you so much for the invitation to read.
Oh, you're welcome. More than welcome. We read together for the Poets for Harris.
We did.
Oh, that was
Yes,
such a good
and,
event, wasn't it?
And one of the things, and what you read, I was like, oh, I got to see if she'll join us. So
Okay,
thanks for
you.
coming on. Well,
Knowing that you liked that poem, I moved a little bit toward humor tonight, but I'm reading all new things.
Oh, great.
excellent.
I love new stuff. Mine and everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the nice thing about Third Thursday is we get to read for longer than the usual 5 minutes, and we get to share stuff that might be even a 10-minute play or something. I mean, in any kind of distortion of or enhancement of lyrical writing. Yeah.
I will set my timer and stop myself faithfully just to make sure that I don't go over. I hate that when people do it. So if I do, I'll be deliberate.
Nobody will throw tomatoes for real or virtual.
You can just yell at me.
What a pro. What a pro.
Oh, come on.
Yes, indeed. Get more than 10, though. I don't want you to perhaps misconnect that. You get more than 10. Well, Mike, she gets 25 minutes, yes?
Yeah, she gets 20 minutes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think it's planned more or less for 20, so I'll.
Okay. If you go over by a minute or two, I totally respect people who are strict about it, but we're not.
Okay.
Yeah. If you start to engage in chapter 2 of 47, we might, kind of, I don't know. It's never happened, so I don't know what we would do.
All right. Great.
Hello, Raphael. Hello, Ken. Donna and Chris and Maddie. I feel like Robert. Hello.
And you can also,
Happy days.
it's ready.
We've been doing this Third Thursday for, I don't know what, 3 years now?
4 years, I think. Yeah, something like that.
At least 4. Yeah, well, whatever COVID was.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I still, neither Emily nor I have dinner timed properly for this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going back and forth.
Yeah, I understand. I'll be eating after.
I'm going to eat during the open mic is what I'm going to eat.
But feel free to all of you do whatever, if you have a plate of food. No, I won't be upset.
No, I finished my dinner, but I'll have dessert later.
All right, let me ask a few people if they want to be on the open mic. Raphael, would you like to be on the open mic?
Yes, I think so.
Yay.
I think so.
Good.
I think so. I think that's kind of cool. Chris Morrow.
Chris Morrow
no.
is my friend who's a folk musician. She's not a poet, so she will
She can play
not
music
be
if she
open
wants.
micing. Unless she wants to play something, that's true. I doubt
Thank
it,
you for the thank you for the invitation, but I'll pass.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for joining on tonight.
Same with
Kline.
Maddie. Maddie won't either. She's not a poet.
Donna,
Wow, man.
do you have Donna?
Oh,
A big audience, though.
how about Donna Best? Would you like to be part of the open mic? Donna?
thanks. No thanks.
Okie dokie. All right. Ken Holland, we know. Susan, would you like to be part of the open mic?
Sure.
Okay. We know Jim is. We know Beth is. Who else we got here? Who else we got here?
I want to advise everyone that you can use your 5 to 10 minutes tonight to include the rest of us. In other words, you could read several poems and then you use a few minutes or whatever to engage with us, especially if it's a work in progress or you have particular reason to want to invite feedback. That's another way to do it.
Nice.
You can also bring in a ballet dancer and an upright bass. That's totally fine.
Wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time for either of us.
All right, we know Bob wants to be on the open mic.
Hey, Bob, yes.
Hi.
Hey, Bob.
All right, so LJ, we'll start at 7:15, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Is there
As you-
a hard stop for the end of the program? Like how long do you let the open mic go
It
after?
usually goes to about 9:30.
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
9:15.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. That's insane. I can't believe
I
it.
mean,
It all depends on how many people. If the number we have now, and hi, Bob, hi, Linda. If the number
Wow.
we have right now is it, for instance, and they really only have 2 or 3, poems, so it's sub 10.
yeah, we'll be out earlier.
The math
Yeah.
says that we would be done by 8:30,
Yeah.
So So it all
I mean, we
depends.
got, well, I mean, we have gone as long as 9:30, 9:45, and we've been done by 8:30, like Greg just.
But we've also on those occasions had as many as 45 people in here, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So at this point, we're creaking a little, but we're not bursting at the seams.
Right.
Whatever that means.
So the way
Yeah.
it'll work, LJ, is I'll read your bio and you take it from there.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll open it up for people afterwards for people to throw hosannas and praise at you, and take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for your kind gesture of the stipend thing. Thank you for that.
Of course.
I have to say that all kudos go to Mike in terms of his yeoman, yo woman, yo person efforts to make a Poets and Writers grant happen for every single feature in 2025.
Wow.
And it's not chopped liver. It's like $150 per whatever. So I don't know when it starts in the spring, but yay, Mike.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, it is. One thing that we have to understand is that it is for New York State poets only.
Uh-huh.
So, folks being out of town, out of state, we're offering a $25 stipend, and so we're trying to do the best we can. And folks that are out of continent, because we have several folks reading out of continent this year, there's just nothing we can do about that. So, but we'll try and figure it out in the future.
If it comes to that, I'll them know them. That's hard to say. I will them know them. $50. Yeah. Every sip makes them know them harder and harder to say. Hello, Stephen Schwei.
Hey, Stephen Schwei.
And Stephen
here today. Okay, cool.
And Ryan too. All right. Very good.
All right, this is going live on Facebook, and then I'll download it and put it on the YouTube, on the CAPS YouTube page. Sometime eventually. Ooh, you know what that means. So yeah. So, and the other thing, LJ, is when you get a chance, during not during your feature, obviously, but afterwards, if you want to put in the chat where folks can get the Daughter of Man or anything else you've got, please put it up there.
Okay.
And
everything can be found on my website, which is
watch,
just my name.
Okay.
And watch the chat, because one thing we do encourage and people do a lot of is comment on the chat. So
constructive, what I take away, how it affects me kind of commenting is sort of a CAPS thing. And it's constructive and encouraging, or it's constructive and meaningful, depending on what people say. But we're ready to be moved because we want every poet to succeed.
Awesome.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
I sound like some advertising guy or something.
And the reason I'm not doing the video feed on this is because the internet here is a little wonky today.
Oh dear.
So I just don't want to take any chances.
It's
all right. I'll join in here and there.
If anyone has a link to a chapbook or to Amazon or Barnes & Noble for a book that they have, please put it in the chat. Personally, I buy 1 or 2 books from each of our events if people will put it in. And if I'll just say that. I can help to hunt something down if you're not sure about the link. Just put in what you've got and I'll figure it out.
Well, while we're here,
Yeah.
this book
Yes.
authored by my friend Ben Kline, who's on the Zoom this evening.
I'll spotlight you.
Yes, here it is. It
Yes.
Was Never Supposed to Be. It's a really important book. I interviewed Ben for my interview series on Tupelo Quarterly, and that just came out yesterday.
Oh.
So there's a lot written in that interview. Ben and I have great exchange about the poems, but this is a really brilliant book. And what I say about it is that it's basically like
It was
an
never.
ethnography of gay American life from the 90s to today. So we go all the way from, the Reagan era, a little earlier, to Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and evangelical nightmare lived through. It's funny as well. So I just really recommend this. It's a great book.
Is it available now on
It is available now.
Amazon?
It was published by Variant Lit, and the author is Ben Kline.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful.
Hey, Ben, we see you're there with the truffles and the bourbon. You gonna read for us? Ben?
He's not answering. I don't know if Ben's going to read. You're
All right.
muted.
Yes,
Come on,
yes,
you
you
got
were
that-
muted. I was trying to post a link to the book. Yes.
Okay.
Julie and I both signed up
Okay.
to read after.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and Julie, what's your name? What's your last name?
Oh yes, it's Bloemeke. Do you need me to spell it?
Put it in the
I
chat,
could put it in
Jewel.
the
How about if
chat.
I just
Yeah.
say Julie?
It's not
I'll
spelled
just say
how you
Julie.
think. But Julie E. Bloemeke is a brilliant poet from Georgia. And her latest book
Cool.
came out in 2020 during COVID. It was one of those books that got zapped. All of the hoopla around it got zapped by COVID. Yes.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I had one of those too.
Huh.
It happens
happens. Yeah.
every century, but it happens. All right, where are we? 7:13. I think we can get started.
Yeah, I think so.
I think everybody's in agreement.
Yep.
Let's let
Let's
it
go.
rip. Our featured poet this evening is L.J. Sysko. Her debut-length collection, The Daughter of Man, was selected for the Miller Williams Poetry Series by Pulitzer Prize finalist Patricia Smith, University of Arkansas Press, 2023. An MFA from New England College, where she studied with Cumin, Stern, Macari, and Reeve, among others, L.J. Sysko has had work anthologized in Best of New Poets and Let Me Say This, published in Battledore, Finishing Line Press, 2017, her chapbook about postpartum depression and identity within early motherhood, and featured in esteemed journals such as Plowshares and the Georgia Review, among many others. After teaching high school English for many years, she now writes for the Delaware State University president, Tony Allen, in the role of Director of Executive Communications. She is a two-time Delaware Division of the Arts Fellow and contributing editor at the Tupelo Quarterly, and she lives in Wilmington, Delaware with her family. I first heard and met LJ during a poetry event that we did together with 50 other folks for, it was called Poets for Harris. And I was like, oh man, I got to try and get this lady for caps. And she was kind enough to join us this evening. Give her a warm welcome, L.J. Sysko.
Thank you so much. What a joy it is to be here at Calling All Poets. Thank you, Mike and Greg and everyone, fellow poets who are here, for coming. I'm really looking forward to hearing the open mic after the reading. Being the warm-up act suits me perfectly. My poems tonight are all new. I'm calling this the Suburban Monster Tour. It's girls and women who protag so hard that they become really something else. So the first poem is called Hope is a Girl from My Old Neighborhood. I grew up on a street in the suburbs, a cul-de-sac. Close my eyes and I could draw you a rudimentary map. Bigfoot married Sasquatch and moved into the middle lot. Loch Ness nestled beside the runoff pond. and selkies sat back. That ramshackle farmhouse refusing to sell out, that's where hope lives. Knock, knock, is hope home? Can hope come out to play? Once I took a dare. Ring the doorbell and ask for a glass of water. Hope's father said, "But you live right there," pointing across the street with his gnarled and knuckled finger like a reaper. Even though water's free, even though I was small and claiming to need a pittance, even though a pack of breath-baited kids rustled the bushes behind which they hid, straining not to laugh, even though I'd known Hope wasn't home and the joke was on her father, my cheeks turned red, scarlet, then vermilion, violet, blue, ultramarine. We descended to waterline and let rip our laughter. We roiled, sliding in mud on the bank, each kid guffawing, repeating my ask, exaggerating my waifish tone and pantomiming his stony expression. My face hurt, and then my sides split open until gills began to form. Our legs weakened, then gave out, yielding to pressure, and one by one we fell down, then wiggled and waded to where it felt easier, treading before diving in, splashing and playing, letting our heads go under. So much depended on that glass of water. People say when they're glad, "My cup runneth over." They say when proud, "You broke the mold." What do they say when love, wide-eyed and little, cups her hands and asks? It's nothing against Hope. No, that day Hope was at the mall with her mother, and now, after all these years, she's the only one still living in the old neighborhood, rocking on the porch of her suburban haunted house, with a waterfront view of a man-made retention basin, where she claims to, on occasion, see a fin. These poems are all from my work in progress titled Hot Clock. And here's a shorter poem, just one of a few relentlessly titled the same, Hot Clock. Among the surge of 3,600 beats per hour, not one heartbeat is certain, one no better than another. But don't you live for the gong of an arbitrary hour? Is it for you too? Blows against the bell throb hardest just before the hammer. Hot Clock as a title has a lot of meanings, like that poem, it's a heart. It's a reference to perimenopausal time measured in hot flashes. It's also ecological, and the original trigger was this: I personally reset my hot clock when I get hit on in public. It happened at the gym today again with an octogenarian man. It happens frequently with octogenarian men at the gym, to be honest. But it counts as a hot clock reset anyway. The next poem is called Middle Age Has a Branding Problem. Two words that make it sound medieval, an era of blight and torture, feudal parcels of flab and phlegm cut into cellulitic pock and osteoporotic rock. My whole life's been a comedic Canterbury pilgrimage to this site. What a right to stand blinking up at the monolith and ask, how do I know if this the middle be? Today may serve as a synonym for exercise in optimism. I used to tell my students, we're all dying, just not at the same rate. And we'd laugh. One June, after everyone had fled to summer, I found on my desk a gift handmade in woodshop, a clock with two faces, one labeled living, the other dying, set to the same time. I'm checking the chat dutifully. I don't know. It's too much. I can't. I'll go back later. The next poem is called Acceptance Speech, and I ventured a little bit away from the suburbs for a bit here to go out west, so you'll recognize the major landmark. Acceptance Speech. All the women in my generation are hard, faces of granite, crag-browed and weather-tight as a mother, Mount Rushmore. Landlocked noggins of rock, wind-burned and arrayed in a range called winning. At first, the little mountain thought, I'm stuck, sandwiched between peaks like the middle kid in a station wagon, push-popped up and numb but for the ache of craning past this one's ridge torn or that one's crooked summit. Sweet and squat, we aspired to become exemplars of hard. To retort a cutting knock with, you think that's hard, I'll give you hard. So harder and higher we got. North face over bitch face in a blizzard. Park rangers point, look kids, the eyes. From a source hidden, water collects and courses, tears distant. Up swells a song, what it feels like to arrive. Across the crags a sigh. I did it. Oh, my. So I had a book come out in 2023, The Daughter of Man, is a feminist reversion of Renee Magritte's painting, The Son of Man. So you'll recognize that one as the guy in the suit with the bowler hat and the green apple obscuring his face. Thus the image on my book cover. There's a poem in it called Self-Portrait with Molly Pitcher, which ends with two colonial era characters, Betsy Ross and Molly Pitcher, in lockup with the other prostitutes at the bottom of a history textbook page. So speaking of gals locked up in the basement, this next poem, which is new, features two other basement dwellers, Persephone and Eurydice. No relation, obviously, just the same address. But I'm playing with etiology, obviously. Persephone's myth explains the advent of winter, if you remember her mother freaking out in grief. And my poem also offers an alternate explanation for Orpheus's infamous look back. Persephone. We begin with a man convicted of his love. Man, like a condition, pre-exists, even if winter doesn't. Obsession and abduction already exist, even if winter doesn't. Mother's narcissism, or genuine grief we lack the time to discern just now, exists, even if winter doesn't. Persephone, we see, exists in bold brass and sunlight shining, shimmering as beauty in summer personified, which exists, even if winter doesn't. When she leaves, she invents winter, rather offhandedly, blasé even, out the screen door with a bang, the fringe of her leather jacket swinging, like saloon doors in a Western. She ain't coming back. How'd she get elevated to this mythic status, you ask? Persephone didn't even invite Hades in. No, she climbed willingly into his Camaro and peeled out, and they cruised around, talking for a while until he pulled in and they made out. In the Arby's parking lot. Persephone's idea, just for the double entendre. Puns on meat and buns say a lot about her character. Anyway, winter, a hell of an invention. Imagine wearing the mythic hair shirt forever. Persephone wanted the bad boy, got him, and to stick it to her mother, did it. And now we all have to pay. With harvestless months seal coughing against snow-blown windows. Mistakenly, she conceived of hell as a sultry meadowscape in July. What did she know? But hell's older, heavier, and indifferent. Or maybe that's just the marriage, or her body, or how she feels now about her man. Eyeing Eurydice as she climbs up and out, Persephone thinks she's going to get away from all this, and the door opens wider to reveal snow swirling, suggestive of a dandelion head blown into a flown wish. Her brows fly higher. My word, it's everywhere, and you can walk through it. Hold out your tongue, let it land on your face and burn. Eurydice, be careful. Eurydice, no, don't. Come back where it's safe. We don't know what pain, what blinding, searing grief this so-called winter will reign. Thanks. This poem's called Hinge, after the dating, I guess we're calling it a dating app, after the dating app. But it's really about the moment we're in. You, me, all of us are in this moment, a hinge. We're cornered. Call it the corner of Maine and 2024. Here, the heroines are, stood up, wearing a red flower in our clowny lapels. Some repurpose spongy noses and hang them over their hearts instead of a bloom or blood or a button that says, I'm trying despite the despicable odds. A few upcycle, popping the red nose under their pelvic floor, using it as a physio ball, rolling to coax down what's been Kegel chased like a cat into the upper limbs, or an elevator stuck at ladies' underwear, forever wandering amidst the G-strings. He's not coming, we whisper to each other, milling out here on the sidewalk. He's not coming. So strong. What's your workout regimen? I love your shoes. Anyone want anything from Starbucks? I thought he was coming. Until we begin to wander off, a flock of shepherds bleating a vow. I shall. That's what happens if you show me the book of Psalms. I write a poem about the pelvic floor. So Philip Larkin said about the order of poems in a book, make them laugh, make them cry, bring in the dancing girls, which is very Larkin. And I say to that, okay, but what if you are the dancing girl? Likely you're doing all three at once. So here's one of those poems, and it's actually the newest poem of the lot. It's really brand spanking new. And I forgot to set my timer, so I think this will be my last poem because it's a little bit of a longer narrative. Mike, shout if I'm, way under. I don't think I'm way under.
Encore.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, we'll see what you're saying after this one. This poem is called You Ask, How'd Today's Therapy Session Go? I answer, I sat with my back to the wall, facing the door like an outlaw cowboy expecting the sheriff to spur jangle into this here saloon and let loose a hail of bullets the likes of which my horse, lip dripping trough water and blinking into the window, has never seen. She'll recover from my loss, consoled by the fact that at least, and as I'd wished, I'd seen it coming. My spirit fled into the body of a down-on-her-luck bordello owner dressed in red. When that happened, I took stock, lined up my anxieties like heart of gold strumpets, eyeballing their rouged freckles and fingering the velvet nap of whatever misfortune had landed them in my motherly care. I told my breathless birds they're lucky. This is luck. This? Their eyes looked past me. This? Having to fuck whatever sweaty, staggering monster pays up, letting him hawk his release into me, a human spittoon? What about my heart-bulging, flockless flight? Now even my horse wants me dead. I'm facing her, facing this entire cast of characters reflected in her horsey eyes, their backstories jailed beneath her horsey lashes, their early crimes and late errors of judgment. I invented their faces and their evils enacted, swinging saloon doors of errors and evils done and done. Faced unto facing the prairie of mother me please, faced a range of disassociated overfunctioning, faced even the precipice of facing. A butte that arrives beneath my feet every 7 years where I look down from horseback, a lone figure backlit and cut out in black. Like Shane from my favorite 7th grade novel. There I was, a lone, permed Anne Frank doppelganger with braces in Mrs. Sibner's class. She was a joyless teetotaler who never imbibed a laugh, and in retribution, we referred to her behind her back as tummy tits. At minimum, she needed a better bra. At max, a sense of irony. I can still hear us shouting, "Shane, come back!" in the cafeteria to the friend on table cleanup duty, and they'd flick dirty sponge water at us in reply. And my horse wants to hear me say, I want to go back, to then, to before, to when this little one-horse town was thriving, bustling with commerce and camaraderie, and my fucking feckless face wasn't bobbing alone above the therapist's couch as butter melting atop a stack of flapjacks. One single sliding feck. To correct my fecklessness, to procure said feck, and perhaps barter it for something more useful, a cowboy's got to move on, right? What have any of us got to sell but our lonesome selves? Just me, and maybe my horse, and a hat, of course, looking out over vast prairie, long grasses wind-bent away from the white noise machine shushing in the corner. Thank you.
That was great. You sure you don't have 1 or 2 more? You got a couple minutes.
Yeah, please. One more, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Come on.
Something
Wonderful.
else.
All
Yes.
right. Well, I'll do
Yeah, out of the book.
I'll do something out of the book. How about I have a poem called MILF in the book.
All right.
And hopefully you know what that acronym is. I have to put my glasses on to see the book. MILF is an acronym, like I think taken from basically porn culture, that means mother I'd like to fuck. And I already said the F word, so I can say it again.
So
Feel free.
Yeah. Here it is, MILF. The M's self-explanatory. The I is a boy man's first-person perspective. A set of eyes evaluating her body's sensual potential relative to his anticipated pleasure. A furtive cost-benefit analysis, taking into account hidden value against asset depreciation. L stands for like, but it's the K in like that I like for its indecorous clack of tongue against soft palate, followed by a tiny capitulating exhale, breath that subordinates itself to the future's pulsing throb. A throb I can feel from here as I stand at the gas pump near a boy man topping off his already full tank with aggressive lever pumps. He's like a nearly satiated baby, nodding off to sleep but awakening with a start once the nipple pops free of his lips. He's got a clamping latch and loud complaining colic. That cry's going to shatter your nerves, the nurse said to me postpartum, and my firstborn, my daughter, did. But I got my nerves back, or we grew them anew together. My favorite nerve's still the one connecting my nipple to my contracting womb. I'd never have known how animal and wild I am but for that burning flare, casting light enough by which to survey the ground of my body's farthest biomes. Boy man at the gas station doesn't know nipples or nerves or wombs from Adam, but judging from his handling of this moment, he knows what the F signifies. His thoughts transit from M to F seems quick, prematurely coming, without verification of my M status or the length, depth, or breadth of his own L. What I think he knows best is I, He's an eye expert, giving tours of local erect monuments to being. And his being wants me to know he sees me being, eye to eye. And for that I thank him. His is an affirmation of a kind here at pump number 3. Even as his gaze travels across my body, he's tearing the receipt hard and fast away from the pump, crumpling it in a clenched fist as his eyes move like the jet stream that rakes then dips across America's breadbasket, dropping heat and moisture down and down before rising up and peeling out to sea in a Ford F-150. Thanks.
That was brilliant, man. Thank you.
Awesome. That was
Thank you, Mike.
fantastic, LJ. That was fantastic.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
everybody, for listening. And now it's
A
your
toast. No, everybody, if you've got anything, if you want have a few words to say, please say them, and then we'll get on to the open mic.
It's time for shameless marketing. LJ.
I should shamelessly market? What
Yes,
am I?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen, I did that in all of 2023 after the book came out, and I am done shamelessly marketing.
Oh, okay.
My friends are like, yes, she is.
Wait for the next one, right?
Yeah, for the next one.
Start
Yeah.
all over again. Yeah.
That was
I
great.
applaud,
That was great, LJ. Thank you.
I applaud
Go
Meg.
ahead, Greg.
Oh, sorry. I applaud LJ
Yeah.
the way you meant every word. It's something that we pass on to people who want to, as new readers, read an open mic or whatever on Caps. And you clearly meant every word. You knew that we're here to hear a story and to be pulled into a narrative, however oblique some of the reference might be. And you made it work on every level. Your best poems were brilliant.
Thank you. That's
And
such a
also
compliment.
just,
I appreciate it.
yeah, I mean, just the craft of how seamless your voice is. And that's the voice of the words on the page as they progress. It just takes a lot of hours and a lot of talent to get there. So I applaud you on both.
Thank you.
I
You all are
came
very
in
sweet.
late.
I appreciate it.
I came in late, but and I'm sorry I missed the first part. Please put the information for your book in the chat. And I love the way you read and the cadence and the directness and with dense lines, being able to just float through them. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, superbly read. And I love the first poem, the Hope poem. That's new, you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, really good. That was so good. I mean, you had we were there, you're there. It's really strong context and imagery and the metaphor of the names. Great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Speaking of your voice and cadence, has anybody ever mentioned Laurie Anderson to you? You have that cadence that she does.
No, you're the first. And I will now remember you forever for saying it.
There were certain things there were certain parts that you were reading, and I was like, wow, that's very low. It just reminded me of Laurie Anderson. And there's nothing wrong with that. So
yeah, there's
thank
music.
you.
There's music when you're reading, LJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I have
Let's someone saying something? All right. LJ, thank you very much. And thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And we will definitely be in touch. How about we start our first open mic reader? Let's do 3 poems, as long as they're not Beowulf, okay? So let's do 3 poems each, and if we have some time afterwards, then we're brave enough to go a little beyond time, then we'll do 1 or 2 extras. So Beth S.K. Morris, you're next. Beth, you still with us? There she is.
You?
You're muted.
I'm dumb tonight. Okay, I'm starting. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here and now as a member of CAPS. Proud, proud, proud. The poems I'm going to read is from a section of a new book coming out early spring, late winter. It's a collaborative hybrid based upon my late father's notebook. And can you hear me now? And it's called A Yellow Notebook, and it's an interweaving of his writing with my poems. And I've taken one section. My father, after World War II, with GI money, with one of my uncles, we built a house in northern New Jersey, a bungalow. And he wrote us a letter when we were looking for a house, describing some of the things we should look for, and it reminded me of that bungalow on the lake, up over the lake. First, his words. Ray, buying a house, there are intangibles. How long would it take Ed to travel? That's my husband. 2 hours each way? Children might not see Ed at all by the time he gets home, like me on my night job. Dave's letter, 1976. And it's called Epidemic, Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey. Newly built houses spread across the mountaintops. Homeowners escaping the polio epidemic raging in the city. My father takes the Delaware Lackawanna from Hoboken, travels 2 hours on the train. We are warned not to leave our room, not to greet him at the porch door. He rushes past us to the bathroom, strips off his clothes, showers with yellow soap and steaming hot water. Only then can we hug him, sit down to dinner. Disinfectant lingers on his body, stifles the smell of hamburgers on his plate. This is a continuation of his letter about a house. Suppose you want to build a house. Can you find one with minimal grounds requiring minimal attention? How about landscaping? How much? Are trees at rest at natural level? No wells? How about fencing and shrubbery? Storm sewers? Any heavy rain problems? The stonemason. Our bungalow was built on a hillside overlooking the lake. Each time it rained, the earth reclaimed our yard. Defying nature, gravity, and mudslides, my father set retaining walls, one wall at a time. Digging for stones on the mountain behind our house, flat ones for the foundation, round ones for the center, smooth stones for the top, loading them on his wheelbarrow, weaving over the rough trail he'd cut through the woods down to the makeshift quarry on our lawn. I watched him pattern the stones across the grass, measure his flawless plumb lines, set his fortress of blue stones beneath. He was working on the third when they sold the house, putting an end to his artistry. Trowels, shovels, wheelbarrow, gone. One thing I didn't mention before I read the last poem is that my father suffered from chronic heart disease, had a massive heart attack at 58, and died 10 years later. This is called Fanny, Fanny, Get Me Out. We ran towards a terrified cry coming from the stone fireplace he was building at the end of the patio. My father had miscalculated, encased himself inside the tapered walls of the near-finished chimney flue. The only parts of his body still visible from the ground were his face and neck, crimson, drenched in sweat from trying to free himself. His arms splayed across either side of the chimney like the wings of a crippled airplane at the end of the runway. Useless, immobile, trapped. The three of us gathered crowbars, hammers, pipe irons, anything to hack through the hardening cement and release him. And so we did. Enough to allow my father to haul himself over the rubble, reach his ladder, collapse on the deck chair, while we snickered. Not the only time the women in his life laughed at his quixotic projects. But my father persevered. Despite momentary humiliation, he finished a fireplace envied by all his neighbors. Lounging by the fire on late summer nights, we sat listening to Brahms on the shortwave until the flames of that tenacious hearth died out. Thank you.
Well done, Beth. Thank you. Don't forget to put information.
Yeah,
about
I
the book.
left a note at the
Yeah.
beginning of the chat. If anybody's interested in a pre-release copy, author signed, just
Ooh.
give me a note on my website. It's on the top of the
Brahms?
chat. Thanks.
Brahms on the shortwave is beautiful. That's a beautiful one. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Jim Seegert, you're next.
Hey, Jim.
There I am. Everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Mike. So I have a new one I'm working on. I actually ran this by the Hudson Valley Writers Workshop last night and tweaked it a little bit, and I think I'm good to go. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Frederick R. Bernard. Manual labor. I become the family point person on these missions, often spoken of as ordeals. I find the dichotomies of the expectations and what actually goes down to be worthy of explanation. A short story, perhaps, just between us. I pulled into his driveway, ending an easy morning's trip on an overcast winter's day to answer a call to move a few things around the house. I relish that I can still lend a hand, helping, plus spend a day rummaging around the old manor house. I'm encumbered with reporting for the family on the old man's condition and state of affairs. We all know that. He and I like to dance around the subject, then get a bit creative, both knowing full well that if those so interested would actually be interested in visiting him, this wouldn't be such a game. He also doesn't appreciate having folks concerned with how soon before he dies or can be housed in long-term facility, tallying up their anticipated worldly gains. That's putting it politely. They'll have to wait. He greeted me at the side door as a few scattered flakes of snow fluttered down from a drab, shapeless sky. Easy ride? Yes. Light traffic, okay weather, no construction, cool jazz. Good. What's on the docket for today? Art. I had new lighting installed upstairs and took all the paintings down with Graciela's help, but it was a bit much for us. Hanging them up always seems to be a trickier job. Sure, I'd be glad to do this for you. Where first? We entered what is commonly referred to as the guest room, and he demonstrated the new CRI 95 3000K LED lighting, specially color balanced for the task at hand, complete with dimmers. He's going to tell me he paid a pretty penny for this work. I paid a pretty penny for this work. The guys were pros. They've done renovations for numerous art galleries. I checked them out. Your friend Bill suggested that I call them. I'm 100% sure that he did. Wrapped in thick furniture pad in the room's closet was an Albert Frank, an oil on board, maybe 50 by 40 centimeters, one of his iconic snow scenes of Toronto houses during the 1960s or early 70s, neatly framed. It hung in this room for decades. Frank's angular, hard-edged compositions and mastery of flat color always made me feel like his works were sort of Canadian mid-century hoppers. But what do I know? I'm not an art critic, just the labor here. The painting went up easily onto the wall's existing hooks, no problem. After a bit of futzing around and getting it leveled and set just right, we took a break in silence. Admiring the work under the new lighting. If laneways behind pre-gentrification era homes covered in light snow on this gray winter's day may be called heartwarming, well, that's what it was, in my opinion. He got his pretty penny's worth on the lighting. Next, we'll do the hall, he said. The second floor hallway ends at a wall rather than a window. The chimney for the first floor fireplace made this a dead end. Several high windows lining the sides of the hall emit light into a small sitting area, home for a Julian Stanchak. This work radiates an intense inner glow, adding warmth to the space that changes as the painted surfaces interact with natural light, hall light, and one's viewing position. The painting gained additional vibrancy from the new enhanced LEDs. Standing on a tall step stool, I tweaked position and focus to maximize their effectiveness. The acrylic canvas appeared to be projecting light, not reflecting it. Its ribbon-like geometric shapes defined by bands of hard-edged, pinstriped complementary colors dazzled the eye. I mean, hot. Wow. This is serious op art, I declared. He frowned. Stanchak was a student of Joseph Elvers, a color theorist, or in my opinion, a color scientist. It's rumored that Stanchak never liked being grouped into that school, saying all visual art is optical. I let that sink in. Color theory. Art is looking at us. To be able to perceive it, we need to be receptive. Joseph Elvers. Next stop, the former study or drawing room. It is often locked, seldom used, and serves as a repository for family heirlooms and such. It smelled like it needed a breath of fresh air. Since I was a young lad, I had admired a dark, heavily brocaded settee, now stored in this room, which once occupied a prominent position downstairs by the fireplace. There's other cool stuff in here too, believe me. We still don't talk much about this one, he said. I knew what he meant. Do you remember your grandfather's relationship with the Morse family in this work? He politely asked. I nodded, of course. Do you remember? Yes, yes. A heavily Baroque surrealistic frame that may have been the artist's choosing surrounded the painting in question. Envisioning an elderly gentleman and his diminutive housekeeper lowering it off the wall must have been quite comical. Scary, sad, were very, very surreal, depending upon one's disposition. We tussled with it a bit, flipped on the lights, and flipped out. Art is looking at us. be able to perceive it, we need to be receptive. Joseph Elbers. After a good 5 minutes of otherworldly silence, I inquired, what about the Dutch genre paintings? Maybe after lunch. Let's take a break. I require some coffee and sustenance. Yes, I'd be glad to help you out in that regard as well, I commented. My family thinks I should take the old man out to eat. Get him out for a while. But being able to play host, cook for somebody besides himself, is the highlight of his day. We're going to drink coffee, heat up some exquisite enchiladas that Graciela taught him how to make, and shoot the shit for the remainder of the day. That's guaranteed. Our work here is done. I'll report back, as I mentioned earlier, from my observations, that he's getting along fine with his occasional domestic help and Tex-Mex takeout. Is that trafficking a bit in deceit? I asked him. Well, not as much as they're changing any narrative you provide to address agendas that they've already created, then passing them around as fact. Thanks. You'll be quiet about the Dali and the others in storage? No, Mum. Our labors have appeared to be completed here, dear reader. You'll be leaving us at this point. We have shit to shoot. Privately. Peace. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
So do I have a minute or two, or we have a minute or two?
If it's a short one, yeah.
No,
If
not.
you got a short one,
no,
go.
just the interaction. I got plenty of short ones, but
Oh.
you know, just
All right.
I
Little
got,
interaction.
okay. So what's this about? That's sort of what I was asked, and it's definitely not about paintings. It's not about art. I think it's about the sweet bonds of friendship. So that was my goal, and I'm really glad that I had a chance to give it a run through with everybody here. And if anybody has a little feedback, I'm here.
Let's see what happens as we roll on.
Okay.
Susan Rusciano, you're next.
Okay, just unmuting myself there and repositioning things. Okay. All righty. Can everybody see and hear me? We good?
Yes, very good.
All right.
Very good.
This is not going to take long. This will be quick and painless. Well, might not be painless. I've been working, I had said before that I'm not usually that overtly political in the work that I do, but you know, this one really kind of caught me off guard. And as I kind of found my sea legs with it, I wrote a couple of things, both of which are short. The first one is titled, Just Another Day in the Catskills, November 5th, 2024, which was, of course, Election Day. Our contribution to this day's deed has long been received. We rise at leisure, tend pets, and savor the coffee, thanking the source of mercy that has eased arthritic fingers to tug open the tins, the great good fortune of the warm cup in the hand. With bellies content, our cats head into the hunt. Avoiding live feeds and sickening local lawn signs, we keep it close to the nest today, nerves poised, faithful and afraid. It is almost too much to take in. How the pair of cardinals, the spreading maple, the sheen of brushed fur
can coexist much longer in this toxic context. Today's fair weather is no exception. Indian summer, or herald of our coming doom, the heat that comforts, then consumes, a planet of slowly boiling frogs. That was the first one. The second is called On the Eve of Occupation. The post-election shock subsides. We sink inside the sadness of our country's blinkered choice to end all choices. Freedom sacrificed to fears run amok, jarring smack upside our silly heads, faith in man's good. We plant the bulbs in backyard beds to hoodwink ourselves that all is well. It isn't. When the inevitable tanks roll in, we will greet them with tulips. And then I just have another really short one. And this is just kind of one of these weird things that just kind of came and popped into my head, and just decided to write it down, and here it is. It's called Chant Number 7. Toe tap, bum rap, cat nap, sand trap, back slap, shrink wrap, cold snap, road map, bootstrap, snow cap, tree sap, dog crap, big flap, age gap, fast lap, old chap, kick back, lip smack, short stack, coat rack, hard tack, fade black, mass tort, blood sport, bad sort, fall short, big game, more same, no shame, small flame, slow burn, sharp turn, we learn. Thank you.
Well done, Susan. Thank you. Where are you calling in from?
Oh la la.
I'm calling in from the Catskills.
Cool. Well, we're here every first Friday and third Thursday. Join us when you can.
Will do. Thanks.
We're in the Catskills.
Oh, Bloomingburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You actually know where that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Love your work, Susan.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Starting to get antsy to publish. It's about time, right? I'm in my 60s.
It's about time. The world owes it to you. Damn right. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks.
Ben Kline, you were really built up about an hour ago, so you're up.
Well, it's all lies, so don't expect too much. All right. I had picked, I'm spotlighted, but I have it in gallery because I like to see everybody's faces while I read. I was going to read 2 poems from the new book, but Susan actually inspired me because of what you wrote about the election. I wrote a poem about Anita Bryant when she croaked. Well, she croaked in December, but we found out about it the other day, so I'm going to read that. So the poem from the book I'm going to read is very LJ coded, and it's called Science and Culture Advance, One Gay Wedding at a Time. Science and culture advance one gay wedding at a time. All the sex, matter, and energy remaining too much. An endless red rover of lovers I can't name, racing for more space and my time. I always go back to lovers, don't I? Several hundred one-offs and a dozen boyfriends in rows categorized by columns like scent or new and or unusual fetishes. And then I blame them for taking my energy, every matter too much, trying to experience my every open end like a quantum event, innumerate possible outcomes. But I only get invitations to midweek three-ways and all weekend ceremonies instead of the thrill of anonymity I wish lasted longer. Of course, I'm not dismissing progress. Marry at will, queers. I'm here for new forms of fucking, gay retirement, and Saturn's moon, graphene space speedos, free young minds, undoing traditions and mores, multiplying former binaries like canaries in the gape, while I'm in the feckless grip of waiting for new lovers to touch who touch me back. Send them over. They can attend my wedding. They can tux, dance shirtless at the reception. They can expend energy on fake names, but I know the formulae for light speed scrolling my spreadsheet's empty cells. The lovers who lied, who fleeted like diamine ghouls, their last column labeled maybe, maybe not. All right, now I'm going to read my Anita Bryant poem and call it a wrap. Oh, hold on. I didn't have it prepped on the tablet, so I got to pull it up. Ooh, that is tiny type for old eyes. Okay, this is about Anita Bryant, who I'm sure everybody knows who she is and wishes they could forget her. But okay, and she had that little song like "In My Little Corner" of whatever. This is just called "In My Little Corner." In the marrow dirt, Anita wept. Curls of smoke fled the ember ends of her steely coif. Ash peppered her gown. A bedazzled midi from Ed Sullivan in 1964. Its cape ripped, charred, and fly me to the moon indeed. She twists, sees the boulder wobbling, then Sisyphus leaning against it. His live body, a statue she remembered from a museum or textbook, maybe a fantasy. She had forgotten all her fantasies in search of grace. It can't, Anita screams into her hands, bloody with bone mud, smearing her face, trying not to look at his blurry groin. Sisyphus sighs. Oh, now look here. He puts hand to hip, snaps his fingers. The boulder shifts in the divot they've worn into this crest halfway up or down Tartarus. Fresh blood forming an 8 and a 4 on its low curve. See, dead at 84. Two headless bodies tumble by, chased by a horde of 100-handers and two heads yowling off pitch. Anita trying to stand, dodging entrails and eyeball hail, lightning yellow as piss zagging toward Ixion. Is this? No, eternity. The boulder rolls up the slope enough to give Sisyphus a giggle, to reveal two nude men kissing in front of a tall, gilded mirror. Come closer, Sisyphus says, lifting her so near their glowing, ash-free bodies, she shrieks, in the name of the Lord Not his jurisdiction. The men entwine their tongues, their hands map every muscle and vein, their cocks poking free and pleased. Anita wails. The boulder rolls further away, the 8 and 4 reforming in a splatter of rat teats. What, Anita asks, is this? I have loved God and repented time and again. Sisyphus looks at the boulder, which spins twice, then Anita. Look past the lie to see your truth. She twists again, squints, hoping the men blur as her faith promised. The mirror coming into focus, revealing her lowered gaze, an absence of, see, you knew then too, and now you'll know forever. Again and again and again and again and again, the pie pulls back the moment before it strikes. Thank you.
Wow.
Well done, Ben. Thank you.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome, Ben.
Please feel free to join us anytime you can.
Yes, please.
If you want to put some information on the book, please do that also up on the chat. One of the things we are lucky about with CAPS is folks do buy books. And it's happened a lot. So hopefully it'll happen again. Thank you, Ben. Raphael Kosek, you're next.
Okay. All right, I have two very short poems. One just got accepted at the Bryant Literary Review, and it's a prose poem, climate news, and it gets pretty, it's two journal entries, and you'll know one was in July after the debate last summer, and then after the election. So climate news. July 2024. The day slowly perambulates through the political morning news, both welcomed and unwelcomed. Then the cat meowing loud enough to break a glass on the car ride to the vet. No sun, and the humid air hangs so still it could be a funeral. November 2024. There is no rain for a solid month, and wind whirls dust and leaves until something might combust. Wildfires on both coasts scorch acres. Some must leave their homes. There must be some purpose in the hours as they pile up and the world keeps spinning. Turn on the TV and soap operas are high on betrayals. But who thought that a country could betray itself joyfully, whooping it up for its victory, citizens wielding their leaf blowers like happy guns? Okay. This is a very old poem that I resurrected. People know that some people know I've written a lot about Georgia O'Keeffe paintings, and this is going to be in my chapbook that will be coming out, hopefully. Nicotina, Autumn Leaf and White Flower, 1926, O'Keeffe. A teardrop of blackened leaf gives birth to a star-shaped white flower, miraculous and small at its cleft center of consummate darkness, pointing flameward to an invisible heaven. Who would not go when the solemn church of leaf, the black-robed mystery, is rent by the startling white? Who would not endure this resurrection when the white voice lifts us out of ourselves, offers a dazzling new skin? Thank you.
Well done as always, Raphael. Thank you.
Satisfying.
Bob Heman, you're next. Bob was our feature on the last first Friday in January.
Okay, here are three new information pieces. Information. Where the cities burn, the boats are only replicas, the men only the exclamations of the drowning bears. Each tree the way the distance is counted before they realize there is no distance that can ever be recovered. Information. The moon eats differently than we do. Its appetite requires the words the prayers carry into the sky. In its dreams, it is the only beast that measures the heavens. Information. It's taught how to remove the body, how to measure the whispers that surround it, how to color it so it seems like something different, something that becomes an explanation if they try to make sense of it without considering its source. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. It's always great to hear you, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
Julie Bloemeke, you're next.
Hang on, Julie will be right back.
All right, so let's
Or
move
yeah,
on
if you
to
want to go
next.
to the next person.
Yeah, we'll go to the next one. And that would be the one, the only Mr. Ken Holland.
Yaha. And LJ, thank you for such craft in your work. So, two poems. The first one is called Terminal Velocity. I just watched a commercial in which the pleasantly disembodied voiceover said we all have a purpose in life. each and every one of us. I suppose that's true even for my daughter's ex-boyfriend, who put a gun in his mouth, whose purpose was to find the purpose of the gun, who may have been in doubt as to its exact caliber and the purpose such a caliber could exact. Maybe he needed to hear the voice in which it spoke, the whispering from within the chamber, the exact tone and tenor of depression's velocity, the sleek intimacy of its disembodying bullet. And to take a small step back, this is called cello. Odd how this boulder has a certain shape to it, that of a cello lying on its side. The musician, no doubt, took care to place it so, as you would any instrument of pedigree and value, as you would any act of creation centuries in the making, time playing its role as a mere apprentice. I think more of a stonecutter, vision tempered with timbre and precision. I think of rain and its soft blade of dissolution. Thank you for listening.
Ooh la la. That was excellent.
Thank you for reading.
So well read. So beautiful.
Ken Holland, everyone. Julie, with us?
Hey, I am. Count on me to
Cool.
bop out for just a minute, but I am back and ready. So I'm actually going to read two poems, both newer. So hopefully that will be a bit of a surprise. The first one has a small bit of context as it's an amusement park poem. So if you're familiar with Cedar Point, in Sandusky, Ohio, this is about a ride that no longer exists in many ways. So this is Pirate Ride. Former dark ride attraction, Cedar Point, 1966 to 1996. With wince and one eye shut, we jump into ship, batten down for shove and hover, our junior high mouths big with yell and fear that isn't. Skull figureheads slam us through double doors, heave our lot straight for maelstrom of audio grit, screaming into the dark ride's fever pitch. The tracks yank us forward to confront skeletons, a beating wall heart, cringe us under the lunging octopus, the black light glow turning our teeth, the horror-matey cackle blown in our ears. We shake and squeal, mock terror as the boat jerks to anxious stop, where that kid Jeremy once leapt off, hid among the animated drunks, pretending statue, lingering until he could lurch back into an unsuspecting dinghy, a flirt fright for the girl that later gave him her number. But already we are plunging further. The inflatable sea monster striking its gnash from the porthole, the disembodied jangle of bones. Every summer, I anticipate this ride, its ominous turns, make a beeline for the wait marked by bars, studying the sway, the hair toss, the coy, like I don't know, of the older girls, wanting to be anything but myself. Sometimes, when we are next at the entrance dark, the turnstile boys will walk over, brace the rails with their Nike soles, howl and poke each other, pretend stupid just to get a laugh. But inside the waterless sea of this attraction, ravenous for night, I want to be the ship, wrecked for someone that sees the obvious X of me, mouth hungry for press and kiss, a boy that could care less about shanty puns or buried treasure, the snicker of rum booty, the hook gleaming for faux horror, or even the plank now above us, the extended, bloodied neck of a plaster sailor forced to walk for hang. I am never ready for the cracks in the walls that signal the end, or the camp of the fake parrots ridiculous. Come back again if you dare. But still, I will return, holding out for a boy to grab my hand, one who leans in to say, don't be scared, before we strike through those double doors, only to renew reality's sting, bright with exit here. It's been a while having the personal cheering section here. So, okay. And then I'm going to do one more. And this one is actually coming out in the James Dickey Review, which is, will be, I believe, available at the end of the month. So I studied with James Dickey at the University of South Carolina, and it is true, I do have his belt buckle, and this is what the poem is about. It's called Security Check. The belt buckle was a gift. I'm sure you can, I just realized that there's this whole other context to this. It was a gift given to me in class as a way to anchor my writing career, not because of the belt buckle aspect of it. My apologies. Okay.
They were all sitting there thinking, oh shit.
I know.
Like, what?
I know exactly. I gave you all a momentary pause, but no, it was given in no salacious capacity, I assure you. Security check. After a gift from James Dickey. We stand socked or barefoot, bodies awaiting inspection, the knife edge of thought. Did I unpack the water, unbattery the device? But the agents miss the ticking of my checklist under their refrain. Remove all metal objects from your pockets. That means your keys, your change, your cell phones. I think now of Kathy, who once snuck weed through, triumphantly ablaze in Vegas as she shared her secret, under double D placement for the win. What then is the true room of my rebellion? Packed among my notebooks, labradorite stone still asleep from moon's retuning, is a pewter poised to set them off. It has just enough lead to merit a look, a subversive charm lying in wait to disrupt. And it does exactly that. A belt buckle that undoes their resting chins from same's tedium, a composition stunning gun into the alert. They asked me to remove it from the zippered pocket. And there it is, given to me for poetry, a reminder that I am hoof and horn, my forelock strong enough to stop a bullet. When the agent holds its heft, the stamped metal of a lone bison in his palm, he regards a stampede in stasis. I think he wants to offer something back. A thanks for bringing through this beauty, this something so benign that looked for all the world like something capable of destruction. Thank you all.
Wow.
Nicely
Yeah.
done. Thank you, Julie.
Man. Come anytime and read anytime, please.
Stephen Roberts, you're next.
Okay. Don't have anything new, so I apologize if I've read some of these before, but this one is going to be published in Blue Unicorn. It's a pantoum. It's called An Ending. At our final assignation, you would not let me buy you dinner. I was hurt, but I said nothing. Your blouse was buttoned to the neck. You would not let me buy you dinner. You said it was a point of honor. Your blouse was buttoned to the neck. There was no obligation, I replied. You said it was a point of honor. You did not want to be in debt. There was no obligation, I replied. You only smiled and shook your head. You did not want to be in debt. I spoke of us, the empty evening, but you just smiled and shook your head. You blew a kiss and told me not to call. I did not speak of us the empty evening. I was hurt, but I said nothing. You blew a kiss and told me not to call at our final assignation. Next poem is Winter or Bod. The television news was the first distraction, followed by the dishes of the night before. I felt compassion for those I could not help. It might rain, but this pronouncement elicited no strong reaction. There are things to do, but in what order? In Europe, it is afternoon. I have this advantage. You told me it's the demands of others that weary daily. You preferred your visits unannounced, impromptu and unscripted. Shh, a finger pressed to lips. There is grace in solitude and patient expectation. The winking of the morning star was the penultimate flirtation. I wind my watch and wait. There is a depression on the bed. The air is striped with a slanted and peculiar light. A scrap of perfume hangs. A determined dawn trudges with a postman's pace and arrives right on schedule. And the last one, because LJ had mentioned Magritte, I thought of this. This is called I Was in My Audrey Hepburn Phase. I was in my Audrey Hepburn phase, and you wore pearls and basic black. I swooned like a palm tree on the Côte d'Azur. Such timeless style. When you moved your hips, I thought, what tragic grace. Mother would have cherished you. She smoked cigarettes as well and didn't care if they would kill her, as they did, and I suppose they will kill you too. You naughty girl, such wriggling. Had you forgot your battement glacé? I felt quite Magritte, old bowler hat and clouds, when you recited Le Bateau Ivre in Arabic and lace, and bade me compete as jeu de paume, though I never got the knack of how to play your hazards or lay the chase. What a pair we made! Paris in the 60s. The people reeked of cheese and socialism and hardly ever bathed, but we never let it bother us, living as we were in future shadow, not until the end, and by then it was too late. Thank you.
I may never forget reeked of cheese and socialism. Just so you know, that's the image you put in my head, and I may never forget it. Thank you, Stephen.
Maybe I should have said fromage. I don't know.
No. Cheese and
Nope,
socialism.
cheese is better.
Perfect as it is.
Yeah.
Maybe
You know,
it's
an ounce
something
of pretension is worth a pound of manure.
Goodness.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, we've come to that part of the evening where the host gets to read a couple of new ones, and this is called Mediums, Mystic, and Madmen. Mediums, mystics, and madmen all decked out in a wild dance around the pyre at the Cafe Adversity. Flim, flam, fraud, and failure have run out on their tab, and Barney, the old bailiff, will have another beer. Hey! It's the Lord of Mentor Street sitting with the seer as another virgin liberal in a clashing suit and tie cries, silence is not poetry, it's the gag rule of the oppressed. A tyranny of mind, a democracy of poets. Cross-dressed presidents crawl onto the stage. Applause resounds, rebounds, reverbs with drum and horn as liars lie to liars and the truth on ashes born. Rocked mock skittled scorn, see the king has tumbled, and if he asks you, tell him this. It's all a succession of steps and stumbles, mediums, mystics, and madmen know the score. Don't give the parson half a chance when he's idling out the door. Let's see, what are we gonna do next? Let's do this one next. Where to go? This is called South of Shakespeare, East of Chaucer. No one plans to bring the pizza home cold till they're in Houston. South of Shakespeare, East of Chaucer, toe to toe with the moment before it wasn't. And before you know it, only the cops want your statement and your pie, 'cause it's Tuesday and God's on a bender. The whole town's on high alert, and thanks for the extra cheese. And I'm going to close with this new one, and it's called The Whereabouts of Heaven. I was building a skyscraper when I ran out of sky and cozied up to the whereabouts of heaven. Above our false hosannas, way up in the clouds where no one speaks but sings beautifully. Above the movement of money, gunfights and late-stage cancer, grade school body counts and shots per round. Up there in the blue beyond wonder, where tomorrow threatens no one, where angels woo the glade. Thank you, everybody.
I think there are several people who arrived late that might want to read. Naomi, Lenny, Stephen Schwei, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Stephen and Lenny are going to read. Naomi doesn't want to.
Okay.
All right. Our next open micer, Stephen Schwei, speaking of.
Okay, thank you. I have 3 relatively short poems, and they're all fairly new. Mired. You echo my ex-lover man about gay people you can't stand, promiscuity, contraband. Unsure about who might like you, accepting them without review. They can tell you are something new. Bars are clearly no promised land. Whether to hang back or act loud, haughty, humble, wallflower, proud, crack jokes or simply ride the crowd, opt for real or a one-night stand. Doubts in the day, still there at night, your inner thoughts, your biggest plight. In 50 years, I'll read what you write, my journals as a young gay man. That form is called a Zegel. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. Zegel. And then this poem was published in the 2024 Texas Bards Anthology. Foolish. No, that's not a full moon, though the calendar said so. Don't lie to me. A sliver sliced off. Who betrayed the moon, snuck up on it, pounced on it in its prime? No, I'm not easily fooled. It wasn't clouds, perspective, atmospheric interference, just the moon fulfilling its duty. I'm gullible, but I'm not falling for that. I may be bound to the earth, but I'm not stupid. Put it back. And then this last one was inspired by a poem called Staying Alive by David Wagner. He's probably my favorite poet. He died a few years ago in the Pacific Northwest. What I have learned about staying alive. The heart is the core, obviously. Cholesterol, blockage, arrhythmia, stuff like that. Road rage means never sounding your horn. Not caring, simply not caring. Have someone you can consult on any question. Not going skydiving more than once. Get it checked out. Reread David Wagner's poem, Staying Alive. Learn your body. Leave doubts and hopelessness behind. Dance on graves and gravitate to dances. Jaywalking isn't going to kill you. It's okay to be efficient. Tie your laces before reaching the edge of the Grand Canyon. If you're lost, don't follow streams. They meander. Ignore the clock. monitor the sky. Invest in people, let them invest in you. Believe there is more to life than simply staying. Thank you very much.
Well done, Stephen. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, beautiful, Stephen.
Thanks.
All right, so from Texas, let's go to the Virgin Islands. Linette Rabsatt, you're next.
Hey, good evening.
There she is.
Yes. My first piece is called What is Next? What is next? I continue to ask myself, am I to live as I am, hide my hurt, and move along? Should I rest and remove the suspicion? I have questioned and have been questioned, yet I do not know what is next. They continue to use me, stress me, and abuse me. They call and arrest me and drag my name in the mud. How am I to deal with this? They continue to make me sad. They have asked me, what is next? I'll have to make a difference and stand up for myself. It doesn't have to be this hard. I cannot be weakened. I will not be threatened. I will prevail and make people listen and appreciate my story. I'll keep them asking, what is next? The next piece is called Pack Mentality. You'd never tickle a prickle or be rude to an obstinacy. You'll shiver if you see a quiver, remove the blockade for the parade. Who does transactions with a business or asks a cry to cackle? Who would throw albumin at a yoke or be too haughty to hunt with the pride? Bet you won't dance with a Roomba or take your illness to a fever. Could you walk up the hill with a descent or be lazy unlike a labor? Willing to fly with the kettle or wear black with a stand, maybe tether the leash or ask the tower to lay down. You can't quiet the sounder or be brave with the cowardice. Don't play with the shadows. The garden hates the clouds. You can't be blind to the gaze or get dragged by the string. We may do better with the richness in the parliament of fowls. That poem is about different groups of animals. And the last one, this is a quick one. I just actually wrote this the other day when I was flying. A walking inspiration. If the genesis of my genes began with an exodus, not by choice, but by force, then I should be the revelation despite the treacherous pilgrimage, because the proverbs are born in me. I am my foreparents' story. Their lamentations, incantations, and spirituality, all within me. I chant their psalms with emphasis. I am their song of salvation, joyfully delivered, charismatic and potent, a walking inspiration, nurtured by the elders. Thank you.
Ooh.
Always good to see and hear you, Linette. Thank you for coming in today.
Mesmerizing. Beautiful.
All right, so from the Virgin Islands, we go to Florida. Mr. Lenny De La Roca, you're next. Lenny, you with us?
Oh, you know what? This is Deborah D. Nicole.
Hi, Deborah.
I think somehow Lenny sent me the link and I saw that somewhere it said I was Lenny, and I think maybe he's not here.
Okay, you want to read?
Yeah, I would like to. Thank you.
Yeah, go for it.
You're very Lenny for the name.
This is a prose poem. It just came out in this one-page poetry anthology. And it's kind of new, so haven't read it a lot, but it's called Millennium Jubilee. We were called to attend the fake alien invasion, The subpoena arrived in a blue vellum envelope with a stamp of clouds, an empty sky, and a watermark hologram of a dove. They gave the date and time, but Jim noticed the venue was missing. He said it was because we might be portal jumping and did not know the cyberspace where we'd end up. I wanted to go as a cosmic diamond so as to flood the ballroom with my light. Amy asked if the occasion was a prerequisite to the fake Jesus resurrection we'd prayed against, but we all agreed that would only come later on, like after we slid our bodies into our alien outfits. I decided my auric field would be fuchsia with a tint of lavender or peach. Sandy was conjuring her acoustic vortex to slide right on down the sound of Tibetan bells into the stardust skin suit the tones produced. The day of, we costumed up early, went all theta-like under the dancing frequency of the singing bowls I'd psychoneurally sensed, and orbs of change everywhere in the air, trees vibrating and grass waving its sheaths like clapping hands. I expected to see Whitman and Neruda, or at least Rimbaud in his drunken boat and Wacko Jacko moonwalking on water. If they could fake aliens, why not singers, dancers, and poets? And wouldn't that be the change we wanted to see in the world? After all, I'd practiced handwriting in raindrops ever since I was young, poems like drones buzzing my dreamscape. We knew we could metabolize the higher vibes, but wanted more than to live in a simulation. Nonetheless, to our surprise, a ship arrived on time, and Jim said something new was coming or going, while I felt in my clipped wings something huge about to bubble up.
Oh la la.
Oh, and I have a little shorter one.
Yeah, go for it.
This is called Toward Evening. Toward evening, I hear the funereal bells of St. Coleman's Cathedral across from the Super Walmart parking lot and remind myself to forget where I am, close my eyes, feel the free-floating bong of the bells. Then I slip into sorrow. Someone has left this very day. Someone has flown into light. Is it peculiar with every ring of the hour live fingers drum on my heart? A reminder somewhere out there a new arrival has begun. Between tomorrows, everyone I know will dissolve under the petals of this periwinkle sky. Thank you.
Thank you. And come on by anytime Lenny's not around, or come on by when Lenny is around.
Yeah, I'll tell him about
Thank you. Before I bring on our last open micer for the evening, I want to remind everybody that we will be back on Friday, February 7th with Prativa Castle, Linda McCauley Freeman, and Harvey Sauce. You can register at www.callingallpoets.net. And on February 20th, our third Thursday event, we will be having the Poet Laureate of I think it's Birmingham, Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, Salam Green. She will be joining us then. So on February 7th and February 20th, please join us if you can. And look at the YouTube channel and all that other nonsense. I can go on and on and on forever, but I'm not. I want to thank LJ Sysko. I want to thank the open micers, and I want to bring on the man behind the curtain, the digital curtain, Mr. Greg Correll.
Okay. I have 3 poems. First is called Travel. Under escarpments in Montana, high above the green below, elevated, the ageless ages of rock eternal scree when it points downhill. In the rain, you hear scree slippage, slides loosen, sounds on top, chat, chat, chat. Below, shush, shush, shun, shun. And a few errant rocks fly past. Did I mention moonlight? Blue, abuzz with indistinct terrors. Behind me, east, To my left, a saddle between peaks. In front, under me, blue cliffs fall away. Pre-dawn clouds rise in the coulee, climb the rock field. Cold white steam tinted blue. Exhalations of lodgepole pine and prism lakes. Far below, when they find the tops, they trail like banners into prevailing westerlies, gray against the inky night. I see my blue hands. I see infinity on high, trillions of suns, quadrillions of lives, life to the power of. So much darkness below, such illumination. Up here, my hair stands on end, static discharge imminent. Mist rises to my perch, cobalt electric blues, an imminent strike. A moist patch reaches me and my world disappears. I am no more, swallowed by the mother of rain. The next one, I'm about 4/5 of the way through. That's page 805 of the first novel ever written by Murakami in Japan, dated from the 700s to the 900s AD, Common Era. And there is a primitive form of tanka, which led to haiku. I put a link to the particular version that calls out one of the acknowledged settings for that kind of tanka. This is a poem written in that 31 syllable tanka form. Sorrow in the heart of a stone. In the clatter of rock, grief emerges, follows as shadow. Danger becomes mourning, yet I don't care. I feed dew to a cricket in a cage. My shelf of holy water is dry, dusty. My sleeves are thirsty for tears, but I am still. My next thought is of the Buddha. Now it is of being nude in a stairwell. Am I still on a righteous path? Maybe. Hope so. While I am here, I want to be touched, held, sometimes shameful, a peripheral desire. Mostly I want to embrace in no rush. What lasts is not the sorrow, nor the stone. Who do I embrace? My own lively shadow? How difficult it is to sit with life. The root of peace. Taro we cultivate, drenched with our tears, replies with a finger. We eat half, oh best beloved, the rest is yours. And the last small poem I have, called I Give to You. I give to you a breath I hide, a slow rumble of midnight breath, a breath of a beloved, a breath of whispers, and how my ear hair rises, stiffens when you tell me secrets, close, lips shaping sound, tongue positioning just so. I give to you my unsteady legs, my wide and powerful arms, my open hands, my ears and eyes, my terribly flawed brain, my stepchild confidence, my tilted hopelessness. I give to you all suffering done in silence, kept secret. For my love is greater than petty shit. And here on the brink, it was all petty shit. Silly me. Preserve nothing, and I reserve nothing. Nothing you esteem, nothing that furthers your cause. That's it.
Well done, man.
Thank you all. Wonderful night.
Thank you, everybody. I want to thank our open micers. I want to thank our feature, LJ Sysko. If anybody has any kind words they want to say to anybody, please do. I'll shut up. Please do.
LJ, I wanted to thank you again for your beautiful, beautiful work. It's so well crafted and you read it so well. Just a wonderful performance and wonderful writing.
Thank you so much, Susan. That's really sweet. Thank you.
And did you put your book in the chat?
I put my my website in there because you can get to the books that way, and that way you can choose which bookseller you want to use. They're available at all the usual ones. So if you just go to ljsysko.com, you'll find it all. You'll find too much, frankly. That's what's happening there.
LJ, we want to raise a glass to you. We're so proud of you and we love you.
Thank you. Let me raise a glass.
Everybody
It's all
was
right.
so
There you
good.
go.
Yes,
Salute,
thank you,
salute.
thank you.
Let me raise a glass to all of you. Beautiful work. What a lovely community. Thank you so much, Mike, for the invitation.
Absolutely. Great group.
You're more than welcome. And Julie and your friend over there to Julie's right. You guys are welcome anytime.
That's Aaron, Ben's partner. He's hiding.
That is my dedicated partner who puts up with all of this. But listen, I'm a poet and he's a theater person, so
oh my God,
I have to put
Oh
up
my
with
God.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye
Right.
before I get in trouble.
I can only imagine what those dinners are like.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
So I'm raising my
enjoy them, Mike.
teacup to you as a toast.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. We're here every third Thursday, every first Friday. Join us when you can. LJ, thank you again. I want to thank our open micers. And if anybody wants to chat for a few minutes, we're open, but whatever.
Hey, good night to the
thanks, everybody.
poets. Let poetry reign. We need it, especially now.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially.
Well, poetry does have the last word.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Be well.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Have a good evening, everyone. Be safe out there.
Thank you, Linette.
You as well.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Jim. Hey, Greg, before
Thank
you
you, Linette.
before you disconnect,
Yes, Mike.
can you send me that email with the thing for January? Because I never got it.
I
don't
sent
know
it
why.
twice. I sent it twice. I sent it to you, both emails. Can I do it first thing in the morning, or is it gotta be?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
We'll connect.
First thing in the morning is great.
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
fun. We'll connect tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks.
Happy
Steve.
New Year.
So long. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.